I think there's five main ingredients that you can think about when you're getting started in property development. And the first one is understanding the development process and the life cycle of a project. So before I went into my first project, I actually understood that.
So the life cycle of the project is a really interesting one. It's worth expanding on that a little bit, because I think that's where a lot of people understanding the process. Yeah, you definitely need to do that, because I've seen a lot of people who they'll go, great, I'm going to be a developer. They have no idea what they're doing. They'll buy something which could be developed, right? Can be developed, right? It has the capacity to be developed, whether it be a 1 into 2, 1 into 3, 1 into 5, whatever. But they don't actually understand what is involved. And so they end up buying something and then trying to work out what to do with it. And then that ends up extending their timeline tremendously, because what could have been maybe a 2-year project becomes a 5-year project. And then all of a sudden they've got all this opportunity cost. So understanding the process is really, really important. But the life cycle as well, like in the first project you did, the life cycle was 3 years, right? It was 2013 to 2016. Is that kind of typical? Like, is that sort of, what is that for the average punter, right? It's not a 20 townhouse development. It's probably going to be maybe a 1 into 4 or 1 into 3 or something. If we use that, what's the kind of life cycle that people should expect for that?
Yeah, I was about to say, let's talk about smaller projects. So
yeah,
say up to 4 units, for example.
Yeah.
I would be thinking you'd be looking at 2 to 2.5 years for a project from start to finish, if things go reasonably according to plan.
Yep.
Smaller projects can be quicker. A lot of it will depend on what kind of planning process you need to go through. So if you're doing a smaller project like a duplex, for example, you might not have to go through the same rigorous planning application process. It might be a lot more streamlined, so it'd be quicker getting in and out of planning. So you could get something done, in 12 to 18 months, for example.
Yep. Okay. And so over that period of time, let's just call it 2 years for simplicity's sake. How much time does it take? Like, is it a full-time job? Like, do people need to go, all right, I'm going to go develop something, so I'm going to quit my job and I need to have enough money to be able to survive for the next 2 years plus do the project? Or is it something that because of it's just that it takes time, but in actuality it only takes you 2 or 3 hours a week to manage the project? What's the kind of the implication there?
Yes, well, this is another thing that I really like about property development, is that it's a great leverage, or it's a great way of leveraging your money and also your time. So I think you would probably be looking at averaging, I say 15 hours a week to manage a project. But there'll be periods of time where it's busy and periods of time where it's not. And this is about understanding that life cycle, because there'll be points in the project where it's really busy. For example, when you're searching for a site, you can invest as much time or as little time as you want into that. But then when you secure a site, super busy time because you're doing all your due diligence. So you can spend, again, as much time as you want on that. But then when you submit something into planning, well, you're sitting there waiting for council to review things. So yes, there's things you can do, but there's nothing super pressing. So you could tail off a little bit there. So it sort of ebbs and flows through a project. There's really busy times where for a week or a month, you'd be super busy, but then it'll tail off.